Maybe
we can't hear him. Oh, we're live. Hello. Hey, everybody, we're live. All right, we're just going to share this couple of places really quick, and then... Hello. Oh, gosh. we can't hear him. Okay, here we go. I'm assuming that we're good to start talking whenever. I don't know.
You are. I'm just
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. Whenever you're ready, Lindsay.
All right, guys. Hello and welcome to another episode of Trash Pandas. I am Lindsay, and this is my marvelous co-host,
Lauren. Hello.
And we are here to talk to you about everything that is trashy and trending. So this past week, Lauren introduced me to this fantastic show that I am thoroughly obsessed with on Netflix. It's called Love on the Spectrum.
It is so good. It's so cute.
It's pure joy. It is about adults with autism who are looking for love. And so we get to see them go on dates and just navigate the dating world. And it's just charming and endearing, and you're just rooting for all of them to find love. And I love it because I think it really shines a light on the fact that people with autism, of course, are not different than us. They want love. They want these relationships. And I just think it's a really interesting, cool light that this show has brought on these adults looking for love. I love it.
I think it's super cute. I love, there's a few people that I already am like,
I want to
totally
be
like
friends with you.
Yes, like I want to hang out with you and have fun with you. And like, a lot of them are like cosplay enthusiasts or like video games and stuff. That's right up my alley.
And they're
perfect.
A few are really big into anime. The two, Maddie is one of them, and then the other one's Michael, and their senses of humor are just so...
They're so cute.
They're so witty and so funny that I'm like, I want to be friends with you. It's based in Australia, is where all of these adults are living. And you see that it will focus on one person's journey with finding love, but they all kind of like intertwine at some point. It's a great show. Check it out on Netflix. There's only 5 episodes. I hope eventually there will be more, because I would love to see follow up on if they are successful in these relationships or what ends up happening. But it's a great, great show. You just have the biggest smile on your face the entire time because it's so like lighthearted and it's adorable.
True. It's true. Her and I have been like binging it, and it's very, like you were saying, like it's like happy, like you feel like good watching these people, and you're like, I hope that it works out for you guys. Yeah. And it's just like really nice.
Like if you just need something to smile about during all of the craziness in the world right now, go watch that show, because it is... the whole time I'm watching it, Lauren would look over and I would just be like smiling, like from ear to ear. Like, it's so cute. It's so good.
Speaking of dating shows, I have been watching 2 of them. I binged Marrying Millions, which is on Hulu. And that's kind of like a shit show. A lot of these couples are huge age gaps. Like some of them are like 40 years difference, and it's like one of them is super rich and the other one is not, and it like follows these couples on like how they navigate through that, and how the people who are not used to having a lot of money are like getting over their fears of like hanging out with a different crowd of people that do have money. And a lot of things that you like are like, I hope that that's not how people would treat you, totally happen. And it's funny to watch that.
Like a lot of
like,
do you mean like a lot of like judgment?
Yeah, like a lot of judgment
about where they
came
from.
Exactly. Or people just being like, you don't belong with us,
God,
or, you know,
some
like
classist bullshit.
Exactly. Like this person just doesn't really like fit in with us, or, you know, especially with the age gaps. And I have dated people that were 15 years older than me and stuff. And it's like, I experienced that too, where people were just like, this is inappropriate, even though I was like an adult and I'm like, I'm dating somebody that is also an adult.
Right.
It like doesn't.
I'm not being groomed.
Right. Like,
I
exactly.
can make my
like
own
I make my own decisions.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Thanks for looking out. But,
right. So I love watching that kind of stuff. And then I also started watching Indian matchmaking, and that is about really Indian couples that have a matchmaker, kind of like $1 Million Matchmaker or whatever that's called.
I used to love that show.
I used to love that show too. And so it's kind of like the same idea, only it has nothing to do with like how much money you have or anything like that. It has everything to do with just like the same type of religion and whatnot. And that's actually really interesting to watch. Like people that are like in arranged marriages, or, you know, getting married after like meeting each other one time with your family around. Like it's very interesting.
That's wild.
Not all of them are like that though. Some of them are a little bit more like westernized and everything. And they will go on dates and whatnot, but some of them go on like one date with their families and then married. Like that's a real thing. So it's interesting to watch that kind of stuff.
So I also watched Murder Mystery on Netflix. With
the Adam Sandler movie?
Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston, and it's supposed to be like an Agatha Christie type movie, you know, whodunit murder, and they're solving it together. And I just was not a huge fan of it. I thought it kind of sucked. I wouldn't waste my time watching it.
You know, for me, like when I watched it, I was kind of like, it's an Adam Sandler movie. Like you kind of, it's like kind of like hit or miss. You know, like some of them are like decent, some of them are really good. You know, I think that you and I were talking earlier about some of Adam Sandler's movies that we do like 50 First Dates and Just Go With It.
Yeah, and I really like Just Go With It.
Me too.
I thought that was
that one.
really good.
And then the other one was
and
Blended.
50 First Dates is so good.
He was in Blended as well. And so I've noticed that obviously everyone's noticed this, but like Drew Barrymore and Jennifer Aniston are like two reoccurring actresses that are like always in his stuff. And I almost wish that him and Jennifer Aniston were actually married, because they have such good chemistry. I think they are so good together.
But I think the same thing about him and Drew Barrymore.
Yeah,
like when they do.
Yeah, definitely.
When I watched 50 First Dates, I was like, I love them.
Yeah.
Like this is so that's such a good
she's
movie.
Like America's sweetheart, like a little bit more than Meg Ryan to me.
And cute. But so is Jennifer Aniston.
That's true.
Jennifer Aniston.
I do love Jennifer. And she is seriously gorgeous.
Seriously hot.
Like, yeah. I would stick it to Jennifer Aniston. So sorry. Not sorry, but I
would. The last thing that I wanted to bring up is in the news this week, something really awful happened. Daisy, who was in the Netflix documentary Audrey and Daisy, actually committed suicide this week. And I just want to draw attention to it because I think that documentary is so powerful in shedding light on the trauma that sexual assault survivors have to endure, and it's lasting trauma. And unfortunately, she, you know, is no longer with us because of the horrific thing that happened to her when she was a teenager. If you haven't watched the documentary, I think it's super important that everyone watches it, because obviously shedding light on an awful thing that is very prevalent in our society, but also how sexual assault survivors are treated afterwards. Oftentimes not believed, bullied to the point where,
especially at their age, where they were in high school when this happened to them. And so it was like, you know, football player, or, you know, and it's like, everyone's like, how can you be saying this about this person? So I recommend that documentary for anybody, if you're into documentaries, if you like stuff, obviously trigger warning for like sexual assault and everything. But
And suicide.
And it's so sad because Audrey had already passed and Daisy was the one that was like featured in the film, like obviously she was talking more about her entire situation, and so losing her was a devastating blow.
A gut punch. I read it and I was just shocked because
I was really rooting for her to be able to get
it really seemed like she was doing everything in her power to like move on with her life and live a full life and do all these things, and it just shows like the lasting horrific effects that it has on someone's life, and it's so sad and so devastating. So if you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend going and watching that movie. Even if you have teenagers, watching it with them.
Yeah.
To show, not only do these things happen, but how we need to be empathetic and
that life isn't necessarily over at that moment. It's hard to get through, but
it is hard to get
and supplying people with the resources to be able to like cope with those issues and everything and those traumas. But people are out there and the resources are there, and we will post on our Facebook some resources for anybody that's also dealing with that.
Yes. So moving on to a lighter subject, 90 Day Fiance.
90 Day Fiance.
Happily Ever After.
All right, who do you want to start with?
Let's just start with who was featured first.
Perfect.
So Jess and Colt. We picked up where like they were having a fight over Vanessa, who was the girl that Colt had a romantic relationship with, or a one night
and currently watching his cats.
And is currently watching his cats that Debbie accidentally brings up in front of Jess, knowing that Jess is going to freak out. And Jess sure does freak out. And it's
in the best way possible.
In the best way possible.
I loved it.
I was like, as I was watching, I was like, I should not be condoning any sort of violence, but her throwing her shoes at Colt and Colt being like, what the hell? And like trying to dodge them.
My favorite part was
was comedy.
She has like text messages, screenshots on her phone, and she is like throwing the phone like in his face, like, read this.
Yeah, so I guess we should mention she had like gone through Colt's phone to see that like he was talking to Vanessa. Like it was more than what he was letting on.
Right.
So then
she's holding the phone like in his face, and she's like, read this, and he's like, I can't read it, because she's just like shining it in his face. And it was just like so funny to me. Watching that entire thing was so funny. I'm sorry. I'm like a shit person apparently, because I think it is like, that is like comedy to me.
No, it was wonderful. I mean,
and Debbie is sitting there the entire time going like, I didn't know.
And here's the thing, the shoes miss him. He's not hurt. And then he kept being like, I can't believe she like got violent towards me. And I was like, dude, you dodged the shoes. You're fine.
He's like, she's fine. And it was a heel. It hurts. So I'm just like, she didn't hit you. It didn't hit him. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
But it was her. I love like something that Brazilian women are known for is being just like spicy and passionate, and she is like that stereotypical.
It's not okay to abuse your person no matter what.
Absolutely not.
But I'm gonna watch that TV.
But it was really good TV, and he wasn't hurt, and she missed him by a long shot. Like it was.
So Colt also like claims to not know that Vanessa was watching the cats, but then later on like admits to lying to Jess about talking to Vanessa still. So I'm just like, you're in the wrong, Colt. You know that you are.
Colt's always
You're saying that you didn't know and that you weren't talking to her. Jess said that you were not talking to her, and then you were, and we all saw it. Like, how are you going to get around this one? So basically she starts throwing her shit and she's saying that you lie, and she's freaking out. And then Jess eventually leaves. Colt follows her around, but she ends up leaving.
Oh, she says about going with her ex.
Oh yeah. She goes, It's your last night in Brazil. I'm going to go fuck my ex. I was like, girl, oh my God. I can't. For real, she was just like, okay, I'm going to go sleep with my ex now. Like, okay, bye.
She was ruthless. Like, she was having none of Cole. So dude, that is hilarious.
I loved it.
Who knows what's going to happen next
I loved
week.
watching it.
Yeah, it was so good.
You know what? I'm going to predict that she's going to be like, fuck you. That's what I'm going to predict.
I mean, I hope she does. Can we talk about what we know about her right now?
Yes, go ahead.
So she is in a relationship with another American guy.
And I heard that Colt is now dating Vanessa.
Really?
That's what I heard. I don't have anything to like back that up, but
How does Colt snag these beautiful women?
Yeah.
Honestly, how?
These girls are hot too.
Like, what is it? It's gotta be, is it like the 90-day thing? Like, well, Larissa, no. Like, right. Larissa liked him pre-90-day. But then I'm like, Jess and Vanessa, like, what are the odds? Like,
I'm like,
yeah.
I hope that Jess steps away from Colt like in the next episode, because if she stayed with him past that, I'm like, but you know, obviously it's a show and they're on it for a reason, so they're probably going to last the duration of the episodes and everything. Who knows though? We don't know. We don't know.
Who knows?
Just
yeah,
saying.
Will she be at like the reunion?
Yeah, who's going to be showing up? Who's going to be talking? Like, what's going on with that? I'm curious to know.
Was it filmed pre-COVID?
It has to have started filming pre-COVID, because we know that
I'm saying was
or the reunion. The reunion. Oh yeah, no, I want to know that too, but I don't think so. I think that happens like, because in the season for 90 Day Fiancé, they had a reunion and it was all Zoom.
Yeah, that's true.
So chances are,
you're
this
right.
is probably going to be Zoom as well.
Yeah,
that's what I assume.
Okay. All right, Kalani and Asuelu. So they're in Washington. They're about to meet up with their mom, with Asuelo's mom. Kalani's sister, Kolini, joins them, and Asuelo makes a comment like, I feel like Kalani invited Kolini just to basically have someone on her side.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, well, probably. But that does make you feel for Asuelo, because think of all the times like he's had to deal with her family without having anyone else on his side.
That's true.
Yeah, so
can we just side note really quick to the fact that they had like 20 minutes too long about them talking about seeing a ghost? Like the entire first part.
I thought this was really funny though.
I did too, but I was like, this is crazy, because it was like the entire first part of them like seeing each other, like us seeing them for this episode, is them talking about this fucking ghost.
Yeah.
That he goes to the bathroom because he has to poop really bad. That's what he says. So he has to poop really bad. He goes to the bathroom. He sees a shadow of like a little child. And then he's telling Kalani this the next day. He had a hard time sleeping because of it. And Kalani was like, I heard people talking. So now they're talking about leaving the Airbnb and going somewhere else because it's haunted. Which I was like, I get it. You guys like believe in ghosts. I'm not even saying that I don't believe in ghosts. I'm just saying in general, like it was very like, it was like not related to the story. And then,
girl, I'm just saying, if I was staying in a haunted B&B, peace.
Okay.
Bye.
I feel kind of the opposite. I might actually try and like,
what, get your Ouija board out? Like
maybe.
Have a stand.
Yeah. I mean, it's by like, what is it?
No, bye. I don't need some. No, listen.
Because you think my Hasbro Ouija board is actually gonna get some fucking. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
1000%. And also, not only that, but like, okay,
they're like mass produced.
If you do believe in this stuff, actually, there's this really good ghost show.
I do believe in this.
Hold on, I have to look it up though. But there's this ghost show. Oh my gosh, guys. Remind me for next week to look up the name of this ghost show.
Okay.
It is terrifying. It's like true story. Well, true stories. I say that with a side eye. We don't know, obviously, but people really feel that they have these experiences, right?
Sure.
And they're telling their story. And some of them say that the ghosts like attach themselves to the person.
No,
so
yeah.
even
Yeah,
when
I've heard that.
even when they leave the house that is
It
supposedly
follows
haunted,
you.
it goes to the next place with them.
Right.
So I would be like, no, I'm not saying this Airbnb. I don't need no ghost
I don't
following me
know,
around
because,
for the rest of my life.
Kalani was like, it's a bad ghost. And I was like, well, how do you know it's a bad, like, what happened that made you feel, I don't know. Maybe it's just a feeling.
Maybe energy.
Whatever. It's just an energy. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, the point is that he saw a ghost, so they like wake up kind of like cranky and groggy, whatever.
We went off on a ghost tangent.
Yeah, we did. And then, so they go to meet her family or his family. And I'm just going to say the mother kissing Azuelu, she goes in for a kiss on the lips, and it is entirely too long and too hard. Like, even Kalani is like, you made out with your mom.
Yeah,
like they
and
literally
that
like
pisses Azuelu off, but it was, I mean, and we were talking about this too. Who knows if it was like TLC editing to make it look worse than it actually was. But
either way, I felt like it was too long and too hard. But the second time that they show it, they're like off to the side.
Kind
and
of.
so I was like, kind of like it was like they're on the lips, but to the side too. I don't know. But I felt like I was like, maybe that's a little bit of editing to make it look longer.
Worse.
But
Kalani brings it up.
Even the initial like real time them kissing is very awkward and long.
It's
and I kiss my dad on the lips, I kiss my uncles and my
we were
aunts on the
talking
lips
about that. Like our family does do that.
we kiss on the lips. I don't think it's weird. I know other people think it's weird, but
Yeah.
there is nothing that I
Yeah.
don't feel like that's bad for my family. That's just the way we were raised.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
But it's a quick little peck.
But it's
like,
a peck. Yeah.
hey,
It's like,
yeah.
hey, love you, bye. You
Yeah.
know, like nothing
Yeah.
big. But you know, this was one of those.
This
I was like, you can't justify that as being like a peck.
A full
A
minute
full-on like
plus
make-out session of you and your
of
mom.
them smushing lips.
It was very weird.
It was different.
So then eventually, they go out to eat and everything, and Azuelu gets a fuck ton of food. They're like in one of those, you know,
Food
like
truck.
the food truck like parks where there's a bunch of food trucks. He gets like 3 of everything on
The
every
best
food
of the
truck.
best.
The best of the best. 3 of the best of the best
Of everything.
of every single food truck, and brings it back to like the 4 people sitting there. I think it was like 5 or something. But either way, they're still sitting there with like 5 people trying to eat like 10 pounds of food. And the mom, of course, asks, "Where's my money?" And the sister was like, "We told you to bring $1,000."
And he was like, I have 100.
And that's not good enough.
His mom is basically saying, like, your job as a son is to take care of me and your father. And I understand this. I understand where both sides are coming from, because apparently before Azuelu left for America, before he married Kalani, he was bringing an income into their family. He was working and doing all that, and then all of a sudden his parents lose that income entirely. And they seem elderly. Like, she seems
much older.
Much older. Like much older. And so I can understand, you know, needing to take care of your older parents so that they don't have to work as much, you know. But Kalani brought up a good point. She asked the sister, well, what are you contributing to your mother and father?
Right.
And she was like, that's none of your business. And then the mom was like, leave my daughter alone.
Leave my daughter alone.
And it's like, okay, but that's a legitimate question. You're here working in America. Are you sending home money to your family? Why does this all fall onto Azuelu when you know he has now a wife and 2 young children? You know, it's unrealistic expectations.
Right.
For them to hold Azuelu to that, I think, in my opinion. And good for Azuelu. He doesn't throw his wife under the bus. You know, he just is
he starts out like he's going to, but then
sounds
he
like
changes
he is, but then he changes his tune and he doesn't end up doing that. And basically they get pissed off and they just leave. They like just up and leave. So we will see next week how that all evolves. Larissa and Eric, super boring.
Yep. basically he threatens to call the cops. Larissa goes and talks to him, and they continue to fight with each other, and he eventually apologizes. And she insists that that he shows her everything so that way she can like forgive him for it, and she wants to see it all. And then I think that it ends with her basically being like, I want to move out.
Yeah. She's like, I'm gonna stay one more night here and then I'm gonna move out.
Yeah, I think that's entirely ridiculous. I think that Ericy is like right in being like, when we got back together, we decided that we were going to let this go. And Larissa is wrong for taking his phone and going through everything and trying to like bring it all up again.
Don't
same shit.
Go looking for things because you're gonna find something you don't want to see.
Right.
I mean, that's the end of the story.
And the thing is that Larissa eventually like calls him a loser, and I'm like, you're living in his house because you got kicked out of your house, okay? And then she also says that she is not very sexually experienced, and so it wasn't fair for him to go and talk about their sex life. But we've heard that she has talked about their sex life to other people too.
Yeah.
So it's like
a double standard.
Yeah, you can't be saying that he can't talk about you, but you can talk about him. And you know what I mean? And like the whole like, I'm not very sexually experienced, like who cares? Like, you know, I know people that have only slept with, you know, a handful of people.
And I can get why she's embarrassed by
sure,
that,
you're embarrassed,
sure.
but who wouldn't be embarrassed?
Yeah.
You know, like if somebody's talking about you, you get embarrassed and you move on from it.
He apologized. I don't know what else you want.
Well, that's
from
the thing
him.
is I thought this entire thing was going to end when he
I thought it was
apologized,
gonna end
and then
too.
it just didn't. And I was like, oh, we're still on this?
Yeah.
Like we're still doing this now?
Yeah. It was
crazy.
It's too much. Sinjin and Tanya, more with his family. They're in South Africa and he sees his brother. Tanya cries to his mom about if
wanting
Sinjin will ever have balance in his life between being a free spirit and like having children and settling down. And
the one thing that was weird is like, I guess it wasn't weird, but they're in the car together and Sinjin like just barely moves forward. And then she like kind of freaks out and he was like, oh, never mind. Sorry. Like my bad. And he like kind of like laughs it off and goes to like pull backwards. And she starts like full on crying. And she's like, my PTSD from my accident, which I'm not trying to say isn't real, but I was just like, oh, that was like kind of like weird because I didn't know that she was like so anxious about driving.
I mean, I kind of get that because I'm that anxious.
Oh no, I am too. I just
like,
was saying I didn't realize that she was so anxious about like afterwards after getting, which I would be too.
I've had like full on meltdown.
But he was kind of like at first like I felt like he wasn't laughing at her, but she took it as him laughing at her.
Yeah, but he explains like it was a nervous laugh.
I just touched your ass.
Hey girl.
Hey girl. Yeah, it was like a nervous laugh. That was weird.
All right, Libby and Andre. Okay. So Andre and Charlie, they're having this fight. This is where we left off last episode. Just basically Charlie is prying into Andre's life. They've been drinking and they get up to go fight each other and they end up not because everyone else ends up like diffusing the situation. But it's really frustrating because I feel like I feel like Charlie, Libby's brother, and her dad were kind of like poking the bear.
They were totally antagonizing.
Yeah, to get this reaction out of Andre. And then they were like, oh, like looking at Andre's brother and his friends, like, oh, this is how your brother acts. This is how your friend acts. And you know, his brother and his friends were like,
obviously they're going to like stand up for their
they were like, we're
going
to be on Andre's side. You're not going to get us on your side about this. Like, we're going to be on our friend's side about this. And they end up not getting into a physical altercation. But what I thought was really interesting was Andre's brother actually pointed out that he thinks the reason like Charlie and Andre don't get along is because they're so much alike.
Which is dead on.
Yeah, dead on. Like they're very hot-headed, you know.
Well, he said eager to fight. Yeah. Which was like one thing that I took from what he was saying where I was just like, yeah, you're right. I think that both of them are like eager to start like fight with each other. They were like
looking for something to get mad at the other one about. So Libby's dad, they're like outside, and Libby's dad's like, oh, is this, is that how you treat someone? In America, we treat people with respect. And I was just like, dude, you are so full of crap.
Right.
Like, you guys have been unwelcoming to
Aggressive.
Andre. You have been so skeptical of him, aggressive about him. You are not at all an innocent bystander in all of this. Like,
Right.
you are just as guilty of Andre of poor behavior.
The other thing too is that as he says that, Libby says, "Oh, Dad, you're wrong. That's not right.
Yeah, that was
you're being the aggressor.
The
you're being the
first time
aggressor."
ever she's like
Stood up, right?
said the right thing.
Exactly.
So
her dad keeps on like insinuating that Andre is like a whole different person between America and Moldova, which we have noticed that that's kind of true, but that's not something that I think is like I don't know. I just don't think that it's as much as they're saying it is. But even Libby was saying when they first got there that he's being like super like, masculine, I'm the ruler, I'm the king. And it's, I get that she's having like a little bit of an issue with that. And her dad calls that out too.
Yeah.
And then later on dad kind of says that he's super concerned, and Charlie and Andre both like continue to fight. And in the interview, she later is talking about Andre, saying that he was the aggressor. So I was like, which one is it though, Libby? Because you can't be like saying that your dad is the aggressor and your husband's the aggressor. You can say that like both of them are, but you're not saying that. You're like in front of your husband saying, fuck you, Dad.
But that's
and in
so
front of your
Libby.
Yeah, exactly. Like we talked about that last week, where it's just like she doesn't take one side or the other. She just kind of plays whatever side she's currently talking to. And that was another really good example of her doing that. She's been doing that.
All right, real quick. Angela and Michael, literally nothing happens with them. They're boring.
So basically, she again says that she doesn't know whether or not she wants to get married because he needs to decide whether or not like the eggs like are an issue. And they meet up with like her sister. If she can't tote a baby, they meet up with his sisters or aunts, or I don't know what the fuck they were, but they were like some people that he obviously like holds dear. And they're like, we're not okay with it. And she's just like, okay, I don't know what you want me to do because I don't have any eggs. And they say that she should like get a surrogate, or like he should get a second wife. And we already know that Angela's not going to get a second wife with him. There's no way.
She's not okay with that.
She won't even like let people like sit around him in a bar. Right. Yeah, like, okay, we're going to get another wife involved. All right.
Doubt it. Okay. Last couple, Craney and Paul, basically, we just find out Craney is not happy with Paul or her current living situation, and she basically calls him out for not working or not even trying to find a job.
She even says that she doesn't think that he even cares that she's unhappy, which to me was like super sad.
That is sad.
I was like, she goes, I don't know if Paul is completely aware that I'm unhappy, but if he is, I don't think he cares. And that's super sad to me. I like want her to be happy here or wherever she is. And it seems like I almost feel like she feels like trapped.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure she does.
That's sad.
Yeah, sure.
I don't
that's
like that.
That's a sad situation. Okay. Before the 90-day, Kenneth and Armando.
Girl, you're so excited you talk about it.
Oh my God. So Kenneth plans to propose to Armando. His 2 girls, he has 4 kids, but 2 of his girls come to Mexico to be there for it. And he has this whole thing set up, surprise. It's down by these rocks that they had been to before. They went to on one of like their dates together when Kenneth had been in Mexico, and it's like in the ocean, looking out at the ocean.
It's really pretty
and it's so
cute.
And so he plans to like have his girls like get a bunch of people in the restaurant to like come out after the proposal and like cheer him on, and they like have these confetti cannons that are going off, and it's adorable. So he proposes, and it is so sweet, and it's like I cried both times watching it because I'm a sucker. But
you're such a sap.
I'm such a sap. It's so adorable though. Just like they were just like, you can just tell how in love they are with each other, and like they were just like, I want to be with you forever, and it was just so sweet. And he says yes, Armando says yes, and then they turn around and they're shooting off the confetti cannons, and all these people are on top of a cliff like cheering him on, and Armando goes up. Armando and Kenneth go up and he meets his daughters for the first time, and they're hugging each other, and like the daughter hugs Armando and is like, I love you so much. And it was just like
that is so nice.
It's just so sweet. Like his kids are so happy for them, and they're so supportive, and they just embrace him like he's part of the family. It's wonderful. And I love it.
One thing that I love about them is that they're very like accepting of Armando.
Yes.
And the one thing that I did think was weird though was that Kenny had asked his daughters to go up and gather like a bunch of people that were like having dinner at the place above them to come and celebrate and like do the poppers and everything. Or not poppers, that's like
the confetti.
The confetti. Don't do poppers. So they go ahead and do that, and it does work out. But at first I was like, I don't know if I would call a bunch of strangers over, considering how much they've been saying like that hetero or homosexual relationships are not as safe and everything. So I was just a little bit concerned on whether or not they were going to.
Maybe because since they'd been there before, they knew,
right,
like what type of place it was and what type of crowd would be there. So maybe they felt.
I hope that would be what would happen. But, you know, at the same time, I was just like, it's just a little weird because they were so adamant about, you know, not being as accepted there.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to see that.
But his kids are so sweet and so cute, and Armando ends up getting choked up and like saying like how much it means to him that Kenneth's kids accept him because his own family.
I thought he was gonna say no at first.
It's not even. Yeah, TLC always is gonna make it seem like there's some shadow of doubt.
I did think it though, just because of them saying that in the past, you know, like that it's not as widely accepted there, and that they were concerned about whether or not they were in danger. And we've said in the past we thought that they were in danger. And so it, to me, I was like, oh, I wonder if he's actually going to say yes if there's people around to like see that, you know?
Yeah, so I love them so much.
Me too.
And I'm so happy for them. Okay, Yazan and Brittany. Brittany goes to the mosque with Yazan, and she has not converted to Islam, but she's trying to be open to it. She shows up with like her hijab on, and she's all ready to go, and she's like, she grew up Catholic, but she considers herself spiritual. And
like,
so
come on.
She ends up having like, she's like, it was really peaceful. She ends up having like a good experience, and it's like, you know, I felt like I was meditating, and I felt like close to God,
and
like,
she felt connected to Yazan, just through like them practicing the same thing.
So
you know?
She has a good experience. But like, flash forward to later that night, and they're out to dinner, and Yazan is putting all this pressure on her to convert to Islam, and he's like, you have 3 days to decide if you're going to convert to Islam. And she's like,
that pissed me off.
She's like, I have 3 days. She was like, we just had this conversation with your uncle where your uncle was like, don't rush her. And I had told Lauren, I was like, it's good that she's not taking this decision lightly. You know, she's really
she's taking her time to decide whether or not this is right
about
for her.
it. And she was like, she told Yazan, this is my first experience going to a mosque and doing this with you. And now you want me to decide to just accept the religion? Like, it's going to take more time than that, obviously. And we kind of find out that before she had moved over there, when they were just like dating, he had never made it clear, I will only marry a Muslim woman. And she brings that up. And she's like, I feel like this is something you should have told me from the start that I would have to convert.
Right.
You know, because he keeps saying, like, it's not about you converting, it's about my wife converting. Well, okay, that's about her converting. So,
okay, yeah, exactly. That was the part that really, like,
right.
like, kind of drew me off from it, because I was like, wait a minute. She's saying to you that you said that she could take her time, and then you're saying that she can, but not his
Right.
wife. And he's the one that's pushing them to
Confusing.
get married so quickly. And I think that, you know, especially with, and the one thing that we both agreed on was that he was saying that he's feeling a lot of pressure from his family.
Yeah.
And I get that.
Yeah.
I totally get that. But Brittany hasn't been completely forthcoming on all of the things that's going on, because
Not at
she's
all.
still married. Let's all
Yeah.
remember that. She's still married. And that is probably going to take at least 6 months. Isn't that what her lawyer said? 6 months? So it's like,
At least. I
At
mean, I think
least.
that's after they get the paperwork signed, and she doesn't even have, like, signed paperwork from her husband.
right. It doesn't make sense. I don't see how this can go much further. I think that essentially they're going to be like left in a situation where she's going to have to just like kind of spew it all at once. And we all know that Yazin's not going to go for that, especially his family. Like, he's going to feel used. He's going to feel taken advantage of. He's going to feel like she, you know, totally lied to him and everything, because in reality, she did. She did lie to him.
It's going to be a big mess.
It's going to be
trash,
and I can't wait.
I love it.
I'm so excited.
I know. It's not, they're not one of the couples that I foresee making out of this alive.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Jihoon and Devin. They get a new apartment.
Which is really nice.
Yeah, it's a really nice apartment. It's a much safer neighborhood. Devin's mom seems to be happy with the pick.
Who decided to send Devin's mom to the grocery store with his parents? They can't even talk. My favorite part is when they're like driving to the neighborhood, the mom is just like asking all kinds of stuff, and June's mom is like, what is she saying? And I was like, that is, we all want to know, because even if you speak English, you don't know what the fuck she's saying. This bitch is crazy. And she's just like going on and on, like, oh, so what number is it? And they're like 153. And she's like, oh, we're at like 83. So we've got a ways. And then like later on, she's like, oh, the numbers are going down. It's like, why don't you just let them drive? I'm pretty sure they know what they're doing.
Right.
They've lived here their entire lives.
She definitely, you can tell, has like a control problem.
Oh yeah,
she needs
absolutely
to control every situation. She's not ready to just give it up and go with
I was
the flow.
like, why are you giving them such a hard time? Like, I really just want to like just chill out, mom, you know?
Both of the moms have major attitudes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Both of the moms have major
And the dad is the shit. Like, he's so nice. I love the dad.
He is the voice of reason.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think that Jihoon is starting to grow up. Actually, they end up having like a meeting between like the mom, and then mom and Jihoon's mom and dad, and Jihoon and Devin. And, you know, obviously Devin's mom is like, I'm concerned because I want, you know, someone that's going to take care of my daughter. And Devin came here on the idea that she was going to be a stay-at-home mom. So yeah, it's totally acceptable for her to expect certain things, you know? And while they're talking about it, Jihoon's mom is like, she's only talking about what you need to do and not what she needs to be doing. And I was like, that's so unfair, because obviously he didn't tell his parents that he said, oh, if you come here, I'm going to take care of you.
Well, and it's also unfair because Devin had this baby on her own.
Mm-hmm.
Devin,
she's been a mother this
entire
time.
Has been a mother to Taeyang and Drusilla this entire time on her own. So yeah, it's time for us to talk about what Jihoon should be doing. It's way past time.
Way past time. This is the second time she's moved her life over there.
Right. And you know, it's just unfair. It's always unfair. I mean, it's a woman always has to grow up.
Right.
A woman always has to be the one that steps up and does does the thing that they need to do, and the man can decide whether he's going to or he's not going to. On 90% of occasions, I will say that there is that rare 10% where the dad is the one that steps up and the mom doesn't. But it's like Devin has been doing all this on her own. Where has Jihoon been? He can't even send her a check for diapers or formula or, and he's blowing his money at the bar.
No, he
like,
can't do anything.
Yes,
he's a man-child.
Yes, Jihoon's mom. Now we are going to be talking about what Jihoon should be doing.
And you know what? They also, Jihoon and Devin ask his parents, and good on Devin, because she said both parents on both sides
need to
back off a little bit. She didn't even say like get the fuck out of here. She didn't even say like, oh, like y'all are too much. She just says we want to raise our family together, and give us more space. Exactly. And his mom says, oh yeah, like I'm willing to do that.
We would love to do that. And she kind of like laughs about it, and I'm just like,
but I feel like she's laughing because she knows that Jihoon is going to need her, because Jihoon is going to fuck it up again, and she knows it's going to happen because she aids in that. She
enables his.
That is like her MO, is being like, I'm gonna take care of my child.
Yeah.
And she comes to his defense for everything. Yep. We've seen that before too, where she just is constantly like, well, my son's perfect.
He's not doing anything wrong.
And
this is how all men in South Korea act.
Devin is a great mother, so let her be a mother, and let your son be a father, and hopefully he can actually start acting like a fucking father soon.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway. Oh yeah, and then at the very end, Drusilla runs the fuck off, and they're like, oh my god, come back! Stop! And we don't know what happens. I'm sure
we just see Jihoon goes darting after them.
He literally goes
like a bullet, runs after her.
Literally. And he passes everyone.
We don't know. I don't know, because like the preview for next week looks like something major happened, because Devin's mom is like, I don't even want to look at him again. I don't even want to look at him again. And I'm like, what happened for you to have that reaction towards him?
I was like, who the fuck? Why? What did he do? So obviously we know that he's going to be blamed for Drusilla running off.
Even though you're surrounded, she's there, Devin's there, Jihoon's there. How are you blaming this on Jihoon?
And you're all screaming stop, and the bitch is still running. Like, come on. Get your daughter under control. Sorry, the bitch. My bad. I said the bitch. I don't care. She's still fucking running. And get your daughter under control. First of all, we all agree that girl is like, why is she so sweaty all the time?
No.
I just want to know. Why is she all so sweaty? Like, what's going on? I want to know. Sorry, not sorry. Lindsay's not saying it. I am. So come at me. Okay. That's
all
fine.
Right. Tim and Maylee's.
I don't give a fuck.
I am dying.
Tim decides to tell her dad that he cheated on her. That's a bad idea, Tim. Why did you do that? That seems like a terrible idea.
You know what the terrible idea was? Cheating on her in the first place.
Well, I agree, but okay, if you guys are going to, I agree.
If you're gonna try to work this out,
if you're gonna work it out, you're gonna stay together.
Yeah,
you shouldn't tell your parents, because of course they're gonna hate him, and they have every reason to hate him.
Right.
They have every reason to hate him.
Right.
But you're literally telling them in order to like make them feel some type of way about
your guy. Yeah.
So do you not want to be with them? Are you going to use this as like the reason why they are like not trying to talk to him anymore, and so you can break up with them? Like, what is that?
Yeah, I just don't understand.
I feel like there's something else there.
Yeah, I feel like, and we kind of mentioned this last week, where we thought like, what is her whole goal to just like drag him through the mud? And you know what I mean? Like, if you are really trying to work on getting back together with him, is it necessary to tell your dad that?
She says she wants to like work it out.
Yeah,
that's what she says.
I know, but
so why do you have to tell your
if you know that your parents are going to react in this kind of way? Why are you telling them? Unless you don't want it to work out.
I feel like her telling her mom was her like finding out about it, being frustrated, told her
Yeah.
mom because she didn't expect them to stay together.
Yeah.
And confiding in someone that she's close with.
Mm-hmm.
But telling her dad after Tim gets there and then being like, just so you know, I cheated on her.
Right.
That seems like counterintuitive. Like, why would
Totally.
you go and like, especially since he's so close with her dad, that it's like you're, and also even she says, like your father's approval and acceptance is like number one. So
Yeah.
telling him seems like the worst possible option.
And Tim says in his private interview, he's like, one of two things is going to happen now. Like, either Maylise is going to turn her back on her family, which will never happen, or our relationship is over. So I just feel like this.
You just know that you're over them,
right? Like, what was the point? What was the point of you coming down here? Like, I just don't. I don't know. None of it really makes sense to me because, like we said, there are just certain things that you leave out when you're talking to your family about your spouse or your significant other.
Right.
And this probably should have been one of those things where you just, if you wanted it to work out,
then why? Yeah, why? That's exactly. Yeah. We've talked about this with all the couples, basically. Yeah. One thing I do want to point out too with Yasmin and Brittany as well is that when they were talking about the entire thing with like at the dinner with her like converting to Islam, she runs away, and all I could think to myself was like, that is the smartest shit you've ever done, girl, was run away from this guy. And then she comes back and I was like, that was the dumbest shit you've ever done. Like, you know what I mean? Like in one scene, I was like, yes. And then I was like, why? No. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
But we've talked about this with a whole bunch of other cast members and everything where we're just like, you don't have to talk about everything with your parents.
Family. No.
Why not talk to your girlfriend, talk to your best friend, talk to your family members that are like separated from the situation? Like, you don't have to like go indulge in everything and like divulge this information to everybody.
For sure. So that about wraps it up for 90 Day this week. I'm really excited to see next week with all of them, especially Arya and Binyam.
Yeah.
That story looks like it's going to get a little interesting.
I wish that these episodes were 2 hours long because honestly I could do way more with them.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're kind of like scrounging for info right now. Yeah. So whatever.
Yeah.
Probably because of COVID.
So next week, I think we're going to take a little
90-day
divergence. Is that a word?
Sure.
From 90 Day. And I think we're going to do the Epstein
1 hour of the Epstein documentary. And if Dave lets us, we'll have to talk to him. But if Dave lets us, maybe we'll do like a regular episode of 90 Day and then we'll just do 1 hour of Epstein. I don't know. We'll talk to him. We'll keep you guys posted on our Facebook and Instagram.
I think Dave is going to join us.
Dave might join us. Maybe. It would be awesome if he did.
We would love to have him.
So next week, again, we might be taking a little break. We'll keep you guys involved. Either way, we're going to do 1 hour of Epstein.
Yeah. So if you have not seen the documentary on Netflix,
go watch it now.
Go watch it right now.
It's 3 episodes.
3 episodes. It's mind blowing. It goes deep. It goes dark.
We'll do a little trigger warning. Then, like I said, if Dave gives us the go ahead, then we'll do 90 Day afterwards. Oh, actually, Dave just said I'm all about it. So perfect. So afterwards, we'll do a little like recap of our thing, but we're going to start off with just an hour of Epstein. And we hope that you guys can join us for that. We're really excited to talk about it. We're nervous to talk about it, but we are very excited to talk about it.
It's a big jump from what we've been talking about, something kind of lighthearted and easy, to something that's going to be a deep, dark dive.
But I'm so excited to do it.
We're ready to do this with you guys. We feel like we formed a good relationship with you guys.
We've prepped. We've made sure we're ready.
Trigger warnings.
We'll make sure everyone is like on the goods. And yes, we're all about it.
Go watch it.
Watch it tonight,
We're-
tomorrow, any
all
day up
week.
until Tuesday night at 10 p.m. And then we're going to talk about it together. Please come on and talk to us with it. We will love to hear.
We would love commentary.
Yes.
We watch it live. We watch your questions live and your comments live. So we would love if you jumped on with us and talked to us about it.
I'm excited.
In the meantime,
stay trashy.
Stay trashy. And bye.
Bye.